If you're a utility and you know about the TID rollover, then you already know that the key change date is approaching fast. Here's everything you need to know in 2 minutes. A TID, or token identifier, is a number representing the number of minutes that have elapsed since the original base date of 1993. This has been in place to prevent the reuse of meter tokens. The TID has a range of 31.9 years, and on the 24th of November 2024, the TID in every newly generated token will restart from 0. As a result, any tokens generated after this date will not be accepted by any STS meter globally. However, there is a solution, and that is to clear each meter's TID memory and change its cryptographic key. This ensures that previously used tokens cannot be reused. A new base date of 2014 has been introduced, which will remain in use until 2045. The TID rollover has been a required feature of all STS-compliant meters since 1993. If you're a user of STS meters and would like to confirm compliance with the TID requirements, the STS Association will test and verify compliance of these meters free of charge. In order to support the TID rollover program, the prepayment vending systems must be upgraded to be compliant with the requirements of TID rollover. The proposed implementation of the TID key change program is to demarcate meters into manageable groups, which allows the key changes to be performed one group at a time. We recommend that each utility develop a clear communication strategy that informs their consumers about the project. The implementation should include the following steps. Option 1. You can issue key change tokens to consumers when they buy credit. The consumer simply enters the key change tokens before entering the credit token. Option 2. Key change tokens can be issued to a trained technical team, who then visits each meter and enters the tokens. The STS Association will provide implementation guidelines and offer technical support for the TID rollover program. The benefits of the STS Association's latest Edition 2 specifications include improved security for the utility's prepayment vending system and improved cryptographic keys, all of which ensures that STS remains a simple, trusted and secure prepayment solution for utilities worldwide. We urge you to commence your TID implementation program immediately. The time is now. For more information, visit www.sts.org.za or www.tidrollover.com.
Hello and welcome to today's session, the Tid Rollover, The Time is Now, presented by the STS Association in partnership with ESI Africa, your power and energy news and resource portal. My name is Nicolette Pomba-Fansel and I'm the editor of ESI Africa and your moderator for today. This session will detail the Tid rollover process, the risk associated with the rollover, and available support for successful implementation. We have a full house for you today, and I'm pleased to introduce Lance Hawkins-Dady, the Head of Research and Development at Conlog, as well as being the Chairperson of the STS Association. Joining him from the association are Don Taylor, Franco Pusi, and Ricardo Pusi. Also, a warm welcome to Phumzile Sibisi, the Head of Customer and Retail Service at eThekwini Municipality, and Kesiri Raju, the Business Development Manager at Utilities World. Before I hand over to the panel, listeners, I have a task for you. So please take the poll that will appear on your screen now with one question. And that is just for us to gauge where you are at in terms of your TID rollover journey. So if you can just please answer the poll, either yes or no. While you answer this poll, listeners note that a recording of this webinar will be available on demand after the live session on ESA Africa, which you can find under the webinars tab in the menu bar, as well as on the Inlet Africa Connect platform. I believe we have people joining us today via two platforms, and the one is Inlet Connect. So this session has been set up so that you can get a lot more knowledge on the Tid rollover. As much knowledge as possible is best in terms of planning ahead of the date in 2024. So please ask your questions of the panel that are here today to help you with that, or add a comment for our guest speakers using the Ask Staff a Question box on the right-hand side of your screen. I see the poll is up, and you can respond to that either yes or no in terms of whether you have started your Tid rollover project or program. If you don't have your questions answered today, we will follow up after the session to respond to those, because those are very important for you to have answered. Now I will hand over to the STS Association's chairperson, who will give you a short introduction to the Tid rollover. So over to you, Lance.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Nicolette, for that introduction. From the STS Association, I'd like to first welcome everybody to our Tid rollover webinar. I do hope you find it informative, and it gives you a lot more information as to what is required to be done from Tid rollover. But before I hand over to Don, who will take us through the Tid rollover, I'd like to just give a brief history of the STS specification and the STS Association. In the early 1990s, South Africa's power utility, Eskom, asked several manufacturers to come up with a standard that would allow for the secure transfer of credit from a point of sale to a meter. A number of manufacturers worked on the specification, and in 1993, a specification was approved that was called the STS specification, or Standard Transfer Specification. This specification ensured full system interoperability. So from key management through key generation to vending to point of sales and to the meters, utilities could now purchase any component, any meter, any vending system from any manufacturer. So total interoperability and full security was implemented in that protocol. In 1997, the STS Association was born, essentially with a number of objectives. The one was to obviously manage the specifications, the responsibilities for looking at standardization and enhancements within the standards itself, making sure that STS was aligned with emerging technologies such as smart metering, which is evident today, providing technical documentation and support to the industry, doing accreditation testing to make sure that we protect utilities and municipalities and users of the technology by ensuring that all STS equipment or product is certified by the STS Association. In 2007, the STS specification was then first published as an IEC specification, so the International Electrotechnical Commission, and is now obviously a global standard for prepayment metering. At present, we have over 200 members of the association with an estimated 70 million STS meters globally. The STS technology is used by over 500 utilities in over 100 countries. So definitely the global standard for prepaid metering in the global context. Don, I'll hand over to you now to take us through the Tid rollover.
Thank you, Lance. Nicolette, can you roll the... there we go. We've got it. Okay. All right, I guess, good morning, everybody. And thank you a lot for that introduction. Nicolette, are we on the first page?
Don, if you can just continue, the organizers will put your slides up.
Okay, that's fine, thank you. Okay, so like Lance introduced the background to the STS Association, established 1997. It's a company not for gain, so there's no commercial interest, and it's really just looking after the members' interest and the end users, such as utilities, for providing the services to the prepayment industry. That means product certification to ensure interoperability, cryptographic key management to ensure the system security, and then global coverage, 98 countries, 1,200 utilities, 70 million meters. You can do the next slide, please. So this question about the TID rollover has been on and in the media and various communication channels for quite some time now. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time explaining what it is, but rather just a brief introduction to it again, that it's a unique identifier for each token encoded into each 20-digit token. It's calculated as the number of minutes elapsed from a base date of 1993 and then stored in the meter to prevent token replay. The problem here, as also mentioned in the introduction video, is that the token ID runs out of range on the 24th of November 2024. The meter will basically stop accepting new tokens, and effectively the prepayment installation will stop dispensing electricity, water, or gas. However, there's a technical remedy, and that is to visit each meter and enter 2 special reset tokens that will reset the meter to a new base date of 2014. There are other underlying actions that take place with these reset tokens, like the key management, changing the meter key, enhancing the security, etc. But that's not really relevant for today's discussion. The main thing is that these reset tokens need to be entered into the meter, and this will then extend the useful life of the meter until 2045. Next slide, please. So the STS Association launched a campaign some time ago to basically to reach out to all the users of the STS technology and make them aware and alert them to this 2024 event, and also inform them of the remedial actions to take to provide guidelines and assistance. And for that purpose, we've established a special task team and a central information repository with a helpline. And this can be reached on the www.tidrollover.com and the email of tid@sts.org.za. You can also launch the emails from the website. Can we have the next slide? So the rollover campaign basically spells out four steps to take in this process. The very first one is, by the way, this is published in the STS 1800-3.1 guidelines for utilities, where you will find more details, and this document can also be found on the website that was mentioned in the previous slide. So the first high-level view of the approach here is to prepare the vending system. That means getting it upgraded to STS level edition 2 and to get it certified. In parallel to that, there's a check that needs to be done for meters that were certified prior to 2014, where there may be some of these meters that don't behave properly when you insert these two reset tokens. I'll cover a bit more detail in the next subsequent slides. Once the vending system is prepared, then you can also purchase new meters already coded to the base date of 2014 by the manufacturer, which basically means that you don't have to visit these meters in the field again. Ultimately, the final step is to execute the Tid Rollover key change. That means going out into the field, inserting the two reset tokens, and clearing the memory of the meter. Can we have the next slide, please? So what does the preparation of the vending system entail? Basically 4 steps. First of all, from the utility side, request the vending system supplier to upgrade the vending software to edition 2. Also request that the security module supplier upgrade the security module to STS edition 2. Then the utility should verify that the vending system software and the security module have been certified. It's no good just taking the word of the supplier, because it's a critical component in the chain of events that have to happen, and a check at this point is well advocated. Then finally, once the vending system is ready, you can request a new supply group key coded to base date 2014 from the key management center. Load these into the vending system, and the vending system is then basically ready to roll. Next slide, please. Okay, so checking the meter certification for meters prior to that were certified prior to 2014. As I mentioned, some of these very old meters may not or might not correctly handle the key change tokens or the 2 reset tokens. For this, a list of these meters can be found on the Tid Rollover website, and it's advised that the utility should check whether any of these meters are in his installation base and that fall into this category. Then a sample from the field can be sent to the STS Association for a free verification test. If the sample fails the test, then all meters of that type really needs to be replaced in the field prior to performing the reset action, or alternatively replace them with already coded 2014 base date meters. The next slide, please. Right, as mentioned, purchasing of new meters once after the vending system has been certified to STS edition 2, the new meters may be purchased already coded to 2014 by the manufacturer, and then these meters do not need to be reset again. So can we move the next slide? Ultimately, as I mentioned on the previous slide, the final step in this game is to execute the Tid rollover key change. This entails firstly making sure that you're using a vending system that has been certified to the STS edition 2. Then set up a help desk and the response team to deal with exceptions when the meters are being reset in the field. Most important is to inform the customer base beforehand of what is going to happen. In other words, involve all the role players and stakeholders in the prepayment domain where your meters are installed. Also mentioned before on the introductory video that there are two options. Option one is where the customer can insert the reset tokens. This can be issued to him when he buys his next credit token. The option two is to use a dedicated field team who enters the two reset tokens into each meter, and ultimately we believe that utilities will have combinations of these two options depending on the demographics of the installed customer base. So can we have the next slide, please? Some added benefits that utilities should consider is that at the same time when you do the meter reset, do a meter audit on the installed base. This is an opportunity to get rid of faulty or tampered meters and eliminate fraud. So also use the opportunity to update your customer and your meter database information system. We find that in some installations that information goes awry over time due to processes that not being followed out properly, etc., etc. So you may have meters in your database that are not matched to specific addresses or customers, etc. This is the time to add that benefit. And then can we have the next slide? Noteworthy are some key elements for success of this project. Firstly, to formulate a well thought out project plan. Like any project, this is the kingpin of the whole thing for success. Then from the plan you can budget for the capital and operational resources. I know that is a challenge in this day and age with the pandemic and the lockdowns and all that sort of stuff. However, we have to face up to the reality and find the necessary resources. The next point is to run a pilot to verify the business processes, a most important step so that you don't run awry once the program is in full operation and full swing. I've mentioned before to inform your customers beforehand of what to expect, what their role is, how it's going to happen, what they must do, etc., with very clear instructions. And ultimately, the recommendation is to please start the project now. Time is of the essence. We're in 2021 now, that's 2024 is around the corner, basically 3 years to execute. Most of these projects are going to take a year to plan, a year to do the actual preparations, etc., which leaves you just 12 months to do your install base. That's very, very little time. Can we do our next slide? Oh, that's it. Yeah, thank you from my side. I hand you back to Nicolette.
Right, thank you so much, Lance and Don. Listeners, we have a poll for you to respond to, but before we put that poll up, we have an audience question that we can get a response for, and that is it mandatory to move STS 6 and Tid rollover at the same time? If you can please just respond to that question before we put the poll up.
Nicolette, would you like me to respond to that?
Yes, thank you.
Sure. So no, it's not mandatory to convert to STS 6 and do the Tid rollover at the same time, but it's important to note that your vending system must be upgraded to STS 6 before you can start the Tid rollover.
Fabulous, thank you.
Sorry, Nicolette, can I just add to that? There's a little bit of confusion that could arise in the marketplace. There's mention of STS 6 and STS Edition 2. To clarify to the audience, this is one and the same thing. STS 6 refers to the firmware version of the hardware secure module, and STS Edition 2 refers to the actual standard that dictates the behavior of the upgraded STS 6 firmware. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So organizers, can we please get the poll up? Right, the question that we are asking is, what is your main concern around implementation of the Tid rollover? Is it planning your project implementation? Is it resources in terms of finance, or resources in terms of skills? Perhaps your main concern is that your level of understanding isn't sufficient, or do you feel that you're on top of the Tid rollover and have no concerns? For those of us who remember Y2K and the anxiety it caused, we'll also know that the amount of preparation that went into securing business continuity was quite substantial. And I think it's the same for the Tid rollover. But unlike Y2K, the rollover is a certainty, and on 24 November 2024, that is D-Day for us. So if you can just pop that response for the poll, and we can have an idea of where your concerns lie. I will now hand over to the STS Association Tid Project Coordinator, Franco. The microphone is yours. Franco? You're on mute, Franco.
My apologies. Hello, everyone. Just to let you know that as STSA technical consultant, I am going to be available to answer any technical questions that people may have regarding the Tid rollover. You may, of course, email me or contact me via telephone or arrange a virtual meeting if you wish. You may also post your queries on the Tid rollover website. The STSA will assist with technical help where possible. We won't run your Tid rollover program for you, but certainly assist if you have technical queries. The STSA offers technical testing facilities to check that meters are Tid rollover compliant. However, as Don said, please note that all meters since the start of STS were specified to be compliant. So please only send us samples if you're not sure. First, try to get compliance verification from your meter suppliers if you can. And if you're not sure, then you may send us a sample of your meters. All meters tested for compliance since 2014 have been tested for Tid rollover. So there's no need to retest these meters. So if you purchase meters after 2014, they are already certified to be compliant. Also, one more thing, please remember that if you send meters for Tid rollover testing, they must be coded to a default key, otherwise there's no way we can test the meters themselves. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ricardo. I believe, Ricardo, you also have an opening statement.
Yes, thanks, Franco. Good morning, everyone. So before we begin with the update, just a quick bit of history first for some context. The STS first started with the Tid Rollover announcements in 2011. This was the year that the specs were first designed and then made available for everyone. Since then, there has been at least one reminder per year. In 2014, we updated the Key Management Center and security modules to accommodate the Tid Rollover process. And then finally, as Don said, last year, we launched an international communication drive to remind all STS end users that the Tid Rollover cutoff date is fast approaching. This has been a door-to-door delivery campaign that has obviously been met with some unique challenges, considering the current state of the world. To date, we have covered a large amount from that list and are still making good progress. Initially, we started out by using search engines and social media to begin tracking down physical addresses, but that has now evolved into something quite a bit more dynamic. Our latest effort is using live webinar platforms such as this. So here's hoping that this message reaches the correct people today. And if you have not yet received your Tid Rollover notification, please get in touch with me directly on ricardo@tidrollover.com to request your copy. Thank you. I now hand over to Pumzile.
Thank you, Ricardo. Greetings to all our viewers. From eThekwini Municipality perspective, I'll be sharing our journey on how we have planned the Tid Rollover project to meet the deadline. And we have strategically focused 80% of our time on the Tid Rollover project planning and formulated the implementation strategy, the communication plan, of course, with mitigating strategies to address customer or business related risks. And now I would like to hand over to my colleague, Kezri.
Kezri, you are on mute.
Apologies for that, guys. I was busy talking to myself. I said a great good morning to everybody, ladies and gentlemen, and my fellow panelists, as well as everybody that put this together. We're all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, as I said. It's quite an early one, and it's good to see everybody. I'm just going to give a quick rundown of just the background of who Utilities World is and what we've done in terms of the TID process. So we're South African based, currently based in Durban, KwaZulu-Natal, operating since 2010, been in the prepaid vending sector. We're a level 2 company and we're part of Blue Labels Telecoms. We have a presence both nationally and internationally. With a combined total of over 150 years of experience and being involved in the prepayment electricity industry. From the inception, we provide prepayment vending solutions to utilities to meet and exceed the expectations. And some of it includes prepaid electricity, water, gas vending, advanced reporting and data mining solutions, revenue protection, meter audits, and data normalization, as well as smart metering. Next slide, please. We've termed it the road to KRM2. What we've done is, before I get into that, everybody needs to understand, especially the utility, that it's the TID and revenue enhancement goes very much hand in hand, and that's something that needs to be on top of your minds. Municipalities should have by now realized that the process is not just about key changing meters, but also more value added to the process, like data cleansing and asset audits, to name a few. Utilities World began this journey by embarking on a series of roadshows across the country as a combined effort with SARPA, which is the South African Revenue Protection Association, and with STSA as well, and on our own. This proved to be incredibly successful, as it was open to all municipalities and not just the ones that we went to. It was just more of knowledge sharing, and it was very successful. I think it's also safe to say that we were first in line to record a completion of the TID process to a local municipality. The data does sit on the STSA website as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much all for those opening statements. If everybody can please come on camera, we will now address all of the questions that are coming in from the audience. Right, so the first question I will pose to Lance. Lance, can the 2 token be issued out to the consumer to insert instead of sending out technicians to all the houses?
Thanks, Nicolette. Absolutely. As Don pointed out in his presentation under option 1, the key change tokens can be issued when a consumer comes to purchase credit, because the credit token will be based on the new key that will be in the meter once the 2 key changes are entered. However, this is the situation where I think the marketing campaign to the end consumer to inform them what they need to do and why they now have 3 tokens instead of 1 is very, very important.
Thank you so much. I have a question for Phumzile. If you have not commenced your TID rollover, what are the key project management elements to focus on in order to be ready by 2024? I think, Phumzile, you are the ideal person to respond to that one.
Thank you, Nicolette. Yes, I will speak from our perspective as eThekwini municipality. I think the critical part is to really have a focus on 80% of your time planning, really put a work group together where you'll be able to identify the stakeholders that will make sure that your project is a success, 1. And the next plan would be to make sure that you have an implementation plan in place that will inform your budget. Now, I want to just share a little bit of some of the silver lining for us as eThekwini municipality. Because of the pandemic, we had to be creative and innovative, think outside the box on how do we come up with a budget to fund the project. So we were very conservative with our budget to achieve savings, which assisted us in funding the Tid Rollover project. Now, when you look at, I can see the viewers are observing our journey, where we've already started with the stakeholder identification. We developed our work group with the plans and communication plan, which then assisted us in ensuring that we create also a customer awareness and start informing our customers out there of what's coming on the way. I must state that we haven't started on ground as yet because, as I highlighted earlier on, we had budgetary constraints, and I'm happy to say that we have actually passed that hurdle. Yeah, I think the most important thing for all the viewers out there, when you start, make sure that you put that project plan together and make sure that you cover the mitigation strategies to address customer related risks and also address operational risks within your municipalities or your utilities. Thank you, Nicolette.
Right, thank you so much for that insight, Phumzile. So back to Lance, a question around when the vending has been upgraded to STS2, will the base of 1993 meters still be able to vend on Rev 1 keys until 2024? Lance, you're on mute.
Sorry, just trying to find my unmute button. Yes, absolutely. So the upgraded STS Edition 2 infrastructure caters for Key Revision 1 and Key Revision 2, in this case 1993 base date and 2014. Those meters that are still on Key Revision 1 will continue to be able to vend until 2024. And any meters manufactured from now on the new Key Revision or the new base date will then vend off the updated vending key.
Right, thank you so much. Franco, a question for you. The audience member says, my question relates to the risk of reusing tokens on existing updated vending systems, which can issue both KR1 and KR2 tokens. If the meters in the field are not updated by 2024, the original purchase tokens can be reused. Is the only solution to counteract this threat is only issue KR2 vending tokens on the vending system? Or can the original KR1 token still be used in the existing meter, as they would not have to purchase these via the upgraded vending system? This is a huge risk to metros, as I doubt all meters will be upgraded in time. Franco.
Thank you very much. The answer to that is no. If a meter has already accepted a token on the current base date, 1993 base date, then it will not accept the same token again. So you cannot reuse a token. If the TID is reset to 0, then the meter has a new key, and the old tokens cannot be used anymore anyway, because they were created on the old key. So no matter which way you cut this, the old tokens will not work again if they've already been used, and the updated meter will not accept old tokens because it has a new key. So there is no risk to the utility. The only risk to the utility is if they don't do the rollover key change, then no more tokens will be accepted by the meter, because a vending system generating a new token after 2024 will have reset its base date to 2014. And that token will be seen as old by the meter. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nicolette, can I just come in there for a minute?
No,
just to add to what Franco has said, it's a very important point, this, that any, in the acting out this whole to the rollover reset action at the meter, it must be made sure that the old tokens are inserted into the meter first. Sorry, not old tokens. What I mean is unused old tokens must be entered into the meter first, because once that meter is reset, it will not accept it, even if they didn't use the token.
Thank you also for sharing that information. Don, an audience member says, great to see the familiar faces. Does the STS have a TID rollover project plan template?
The short answer is we have a guideline. It is difficult to make a template because of utilities have different business domains and processes, etc., from one to the other. But what we have provided is a guideline, STS 1800-3-1, which is available on the TID Rollover website. It contains a bit more detailed outline of processes that should be followed, and that is my recommendation.
Right. Thank you so much, Don. I think it's good to have that guideline in place. And I suppose that each utility and municipality will have their own template that they will work on. Franco, a question for you. How many old meters have you tested? How many of the meters were not TID rollover compliant? And please provide manufacturer and serial numbers of failed meters. Franco, perhaps this is a question that you can provide answers for offline.
Yes, but I can tell you quite simply that I've tested 19 very old meters to date, and not one of them have failed. And the reason for that is that the specification right from the late 1980s, which was an original NRS specification, already called for TID rollover compliance. So this is not something that was introduced later in the STS life. So every meter that I get, I expect it to pass. And so far, out of the 19 I've tested, all 19 have passed.
Fabulous. That's good to know. So Lance, can the token be entered remotely for smart meters? That's an interesting one.
Yes, absolutely. It depends obviously on the smart infrastructure that you have, or how the meters or the manufacturer of the meters has implemented the remote access. But yes, As long as the smart meter accepts tokens remotely, there's no reason why it can't.
Nicolette, can I just come in on that to add on Lance?
Absolutely.
Yes, with our implementation strategy plan, we have a multifaceted approach where we're utilizing internal resources, external resources, and also the third one is the one on the smart meters, where as eThekwini municipality, we have about more than 32,000 meters, and our first phase of the project is to update those remotely, as you said, as Lance has confirmed. So yes, it's definitely can be done remotely, and that will save utilities a lot of time to dispatching resources to ground. Thank you, Nicolette.
Thank you so much, Phumzile. Kazuri, we'd like to get some insight from you. What are the identified risks and challenges that have come to light?
Sorry, I was on mute again. Yes. Okay, so yeah, so some of the risks well, it's more challenges and I think it's more challenges and the benefits, but the challenges is just in terms of approaching the whole process. I think it's important to get the buy-in firstly from your councillors, because if you get the buy-in from them, then you get the buy-in from your residents and your consumers, because you know they kind of work hand in hand. I think consumer awareness has been a downfall. You know, marketing, branding, and a support team to field calls. I think as much as I say that, I do understand that municipalities do have issues where they don't have the infrastructure or the staffing. But if you can have some way of fielding those calls in terms of, you know, where a customer can call in to have those questions being answered to them. And some of the risks involved is where you're doing an audit and you've got an audit team on the ground and you get to a customer. Sometimes they don't want to allow you in because they don't really want to for you to audit their meter. So maybe not, you know, so maybe you need to find a different approach as to how you go to them and what you tell them about what you're doing at the meter. Also, some of the challenges are the kids are at home. So if the audit team goes there, the kids are at home and the parents are not there. So you're trying to explain to a 7 and 10-year-old about what you're going to do at the meter, and they go yes because they don't really understand. They just want to get you out of their house. And then you do the key change on the meter, and the parents may have an extra token that's on key revision 1. Then what do you do? Now the parents come home and they're frustrated, and then you're going to have a lot of issues. So I think it stems from the customer awareness, and that sits with the municipality in terms of the marketing and the branding.
Thank you so much, Kazuri. We do tend to forget that the customer is also part of this journey. Lance, a question about manufacturers. When will the manufacturers start with the manufacturing of meters on the new key, or should it specifically be asked for?
You're on mute, Lance.
I'm sorry about that. So I think to answer that question, I would like to start with the fact that I think manufacturers should already be able to manufacture meters on the 2014 base date. But they will only be able to actually start when a customer's infrastructure is ready to be able to vend on the 2014 base date. So we would need to know that a customer has requested a 2014 base date, that their vending system is in place, and then the manufacturer can start coding those meters or encrypting those meters to the key revision 2. Without that sort of information up front, manufacturers could manufacture the 2014 base date, but if the customer is not ready to actually manage it or their vending system's not upgraded, there'll be no vending for those meters. So yes, to answer the question very simply, manufacturers should be ready and they would need the instruction from the consumer.
Right. Thank you. Franco, a technical question. Please explain, since a KCT changes SGC, TI, KRN, how does it relate to the change of base date? is the purpose to increase the KRN or otherwise?
Yes, the key revision number will be updated or changed by 1, increased by 1. So the Key Management Center itself will have a look at the current key revision number of a key, and if it changes base date, if the request comes in for a 2014 base date supply group code or SGC, the key revision number will go up. Then all new keys from then on will be on a different key revision number, and that is what causes the meter to change its key.
All right, fabulous. Franco, another question here. What are the costs involved to test meters for capability by the STS Association?
If you send a meter in for Tid Rollover compliance testing, the cost is free, essentially. Normal compliance testing is not, but if you send it specifically in to get verification that it is Tid compliant, there will be no cost. You just need to get the meter to the test house, which will be me, and then we will do the testing free of charge and issue you a report.
All right. Ricardo, here's a very good question. I think it's a good question. Can't we wait until 2024 to start?
Wow, well, that would definitely not be advised. Waiting for the final year would very likely mean that the daily rate of meter changes required would reach an almost impossible number. If you simply divide the number of meters that you need changed by the number of working days left, you will see that starting as soon as possible would definitely be a better idea.
Punzile, with respect to the automatic insertion of tokens where smart meters are concerned, do you ensure that the KRNI tokens have already been inserted to avoid invalidating unused tokens?
Thank you, Nicolette. I'm not an expert, though I would have the experts on ground, Lance, Don, and Franco, who would be able to specifically articulate the KRN1 tokens. But at a high level, I am fully aware that the meters will be remotely updated using the advanced metering infrastructure. So let me hand over to Lance, Don, and Franco, maybe to go into the technical details if they have information. Thank you, Nicolette.
No problem. Over to you, Lance or Don.
Don, you want to take it?
I think you're in a better position having some experience with the online meters themselves.
Okay. Yeah, so if I understand the question correctly, it's to do with sending or doing the key change update remotely, and what do we do with the tokens that are currently available on key revision 1. I think what's been mentioned before is that any key revision 1 tokens that have been generated and not inserted into the meter will become invalidated once the key change token for Tid Rollover is done. So yes, sending tokens remotely, there is a risk that the users, the end consumers, have not inserted their credit tokens or their previous credit tokens, and those will then be invalidated.
Nicolette, may I just add something to Ricardo's answer? To give you an example about whether you should wait until 2024, if we take somebody with an installed base of 400,000 meters and you start the Tid Rollover project today, you need to do 414 meters per day. That gives you an example. If you have 2 million or 1 million meters, you have to do 1,000 meters per day, starting today. So that number gets incredibly high the longer you wait. It's really not worth it. Thank you.
That is a very good point, and thank you for giving that visualization of why we can't wait. So Kezari, next question to you. Can the token be issued out to the consumer to insert, instead of sending out a technician to all houses? Is it something that the consumer can do themselves?
Thank you, Nicolette. Yes, the short answer is yes, but just remember that you have different channels in which you are generating those tokens. If it's going via your terminals where it's going from a municipal cashier, the cashiers need to be trained and they need to be made aware and educated so they can give information to the customer when they're handing the tokens as to how to put them in, because they will be getting 2 sets of tokens and sometimes 3. And they need to go away knowing, and you need to know that they've acknowledged that they understand the risk of putting those tokens in if they're already sitting with key revision 1 tokens, like I've mentioned before. And also, if they're going to go onto a banking app and get the tokens, there's no way of you being able to push information to them to educate them. So you don't know whether the customer actually knows what they're doing. You're just saying to them that, yeah, take it, and then what happens? How do you have a follow-up of that it being done correctly? Because they're going to come knocking on your door and they're going to be upset.
Very, very good point.
Can I add to it?
Yes, absolutely.
Thanks. Yeah, what Qureshi said is absolutely correct. I think, you know, from a utilities perspective, the one benefit of sending a technical field technician out is that you do have the ability to do the meter audit, to find out whether meters have been tampered with or not. And it is a way of sort of recovering non-technical losses that you may have had in place at the time.
Lance, yes.
Yes, Nicolette, can I just come in on this discussion with this approach of both utilizing customers to actually put in the 2 tokens or utilizing internal staff? And I fully agree with both Kesri and Lance. However, I just want to caution utilities out there of the risks associated with both, that we need to, on our communication plan or our customer awareness plans, we factor in these risks where maybe fraudulent activities, some of people that may pose in as utility employees, or even our customers not putting in the tokens correctly. So let's factor in those when we do our plan, particularly on our customer awareness plan. Thank you, Nicolette.
I just want to ask one more question before we do the wrap up, because I think it's very important for the consumers also to know, and it's a question they will be asking. So will the consumers' current utility balance carry over, or will it be wiped clean with the TID rollover? Lance, if you can answer that question very quickly.
That's a very good question, and I understand the concern. The short answer is no. All the key change token does is reset the TID stack. That's all it does.
Great. Thank you so much for answering that one. And we've come to the end of our session. It has been absolutely fabulous. We've had a lot of questions coming through, which shows that people are aware of the importance of the TID rollover. So on behalf of the STS Association and ESI Africa, a big thank you to today's experts for talking about this important issue and sharing valuable insights with us. Listeners, you can recap on this session by accessing the recording of today's webinar on ESI Africa, as well as the Inlet Africa Connect platform. Please stay safe, keep well, and goodbye for now.
With an estimated 60 million electricity prepaid meters using the STSA suite of specifications, municipalities and utility owners globally have been preparing for the TID rollover. It's a program to clear memory and change the key of every prepaid electricity meter before the 24th of November 2024. The STS Association would like to highlight the progress already made by South African municipalities in eThekwini in KwaZulu-Natal, Buffalo City in the Eastern Cape, and Beyers Naudé, who are ensuring that their TID rollover programs will be completed well before the deadline. Each has its own unique set of challenges and strategies to inform the public, manage the program, and motivate necessary action. As of November 2019, the eThekwini municipality has almost completed the project planning phase, and by early 2020 will be ready to commence the rollover process for about 400,000 metres. An extensive public communication strategy has been developed to promote awareness, identify and to engage stakeholders that are key to the success of the programme. For Buffalo City, we are pleased to report the TID rollover programme has been active since April 2019. After dealing with challenges such as lack of resources to get to each of their 129,000 metres, as well as low consumer awareness, they engaged the Mayor's office and local ward councillors in a marketing drive to inform the public about the rollover and their approach to making it happen. As a result, Buffalo City is on track to complete their TID rollover project by the end of 2021. Dr. Beyers Naudé, though a smaller municipality with only 11,000 metres requiring attention, had far less access to technical resources to get the job done. Since beginning the first phase in July 2019, they also collaborated with local government in an awareness campaign and engaged with registered electrical contractors for ground auditing. Dr. Beyers Naudé is aiming for completion of the entire project by mid-2020. Together, these three municipalities are excellent case studies for how efficiently the TID rollover project can be run with the right communication and implementation strategies. Remember, the time is now. For more information, visit our website www.tidrollover.com.